So from the very moment I landed in Nepal, it was absolute chaos and nothing went right. The first escalator I stepped onto immediately broke down and we had to walk down the stairs. And then the power started cutting out. And when I collected my bags, I found out they weren't there. They were still in Doha. But I kind of resigned myself to the fact that as soon as I came to Nepal, everything would go wrong. And so, since I landed, then I've spent all day just trying to get things done and getting nowhere. That's the sort of thing that happens in this country. Now in the West, we would only see this to be a headache and not something positive whatsoever. But really, having low expectations is something very beneficial to a spiritual practitioner. Really, what happens in the West is we have such high expectations for everything. If we order something online, we need to know the exact day and time it's going to arrive, and in the right quantity. You just can't do that sort of thing here in Nepal. Nothing is reliable or dependable. I noticed when I was in Canada, if I needed to buy a spare part for the dishwasher or something, I could just walk into a shop and find it on the shelf. Well, you could spend days looking around Kathmandu to find one little part for something, and you probably would never find it in the end. This kind of thing makes people very open-minded and easygoing. And it's true. The Nepali people are wonderful. They're very easygoing. So anyway, I said I'd tell you the story of the Boudharnath Stupa. Well, there's two traditions. There's the Nawari tradition, that's the traditional Nepali Buddhist version, and there's the Tibetan Buddhist version. So in the Tibetan tradition, then what it's taught is that this stupa was built in order to house the relics of Kashyapa Buddha. Now, the Kashyapa Buddha was the Buddha that preceded Shakyamuni Buddha, which is the one that we know in our own time. 2,600 years ago, Shakyamuni Buddha gained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree on the Vajra seat and Bodh Gaya. Well, the Buddha before that was called Kashyapa. And the story goes is that there was a poultry farmer, an old lady, and she wanted to build a reliquary for the remains of this previous Buddha. And so she had to request the king permission to build a stupa. So this is a stupa. It's called a chorten or a stupa. It's a big reliquary. You've probably seen them before. And so she asked the king, she said, I want to build a stupa for these remains, and please may I have as much land as can be encompassed within a buffalo skin in order to build the reliquary. And the king granted his permission. But the old lady was very clever. And what she did is that she took a sharp pair of scissors and she cut the buffalo skin in a spiral fashion so that it was very thin. And then she spread this thread of buffalo skin out over the entire grounds of what is now the Boudharnath Stupa ground. And then the old lady and her sons took to building this massive stupa. And the ministers of the king had seen them working away and were quite surprised to see what a huge stupa they were building. And they thought if a poor old poultry farmer was able to build such a massive stupa in honor of the remains of Buddha Kashyapa, then the king would have to build one the size of the entire cosmos. And so they thought that the king mustn't let the woman continue on with her project. But when they approached the king, he said that he'd already given his command, he'd already given permission, and that a king's word should never be broken. And so they had to allow the woman to continue to build the stupa. Now, to this day, the stupa remains an object of veneration and respect for Buddhists from all over the world, and also for the Hindu people of Nepal. For me, when I came here 9 years ago, and I first saw the stupa, it had a profound effect on me. I don't generally talk about things like energy, but I certainly felt the power of the place. And it inspired me to take the Bodhisattva vow. Now, in general, when it comes to the Bodhisattva vow, this is not something that has to be taken from a preceptor or from a lama or a rinpoche, but it's taught that you can use an image of the Buddha, or even to visualize the Buddha in the sky in front of you. But a chorten, or a stupa, is an exceptional object of veneration. And so it's something that you can make a profound commitment to. So the faithful come from far and wide. And what they do is they circumambulate the stupa in a rightward fashion. It's the same with the prayer wheel. It turns to the right. It's called the sun turning direction. It's supposed to be auspicious. That is the meaning of the Sanskrit word swastika. Swastik means auspicious, and it means this right turning, or this sunward turning. Turns in the same direction as the sun. This is what we call kora in the Tibetan tradition. And you'll see all the monks and nuns, elderly people, faithful Buddhists who come from far and wide. Then every day they will come out to Bodha, to the Boudharnath Stupa, and do kora. Similar to turning the prayer wheel, then it's a form of physical virtue. But also if you say mantras, like the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, and you bring to mind the qualities of the Buddhas, or your Bodhisattva vow, then it becomes a source of mental virtue as well. So although it seems like a purely physical activity, then doing kora can be a source of virtue of body, speech, and mind. Well, unfortunately, I'm in a bit of a rush. I've got to get up to the retreat center today before it gets dark, and then my work there will begin. And so once I'm inside, I'll be in radio silence, and I won't be able to post any more videos. So the next time you'll hear from me is probably around the 1st of October, when I come back to Kathmandu to catch my plane. So until then, till next time, then see you later.